The Deferred Sales Trust is just another one of these tax deferral strategies that has been legal for many, many years, has been proven. But the application of it is really where the magic comes in.
Oh, you were talking about deferring tax on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I bet you there's a lot of people out in that world that don't know that there's some possibilities out there. And there's some, usually when people do this, there's some pretty big hits. I mean, some outrageous hits. And it's definitely worth sitting down for an hour and having a conference to talk about how you might save tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions, by adding to your knowledge base. So where do we start with this topic, Brett?
Yeah, to try to make it really simple for people, right, as best as we can. You know, the government's no stranger to tax deferral, and they give us things like the 401k, things like an IRA, things like a 1031 exchange, and these are ways that us as U.S. citizens, as workers, as investors, we can defer capital gains tax and potentially even income tax over a period of time. And it's knowing that the government wants to do that because they want to incentivize you to save, to invest, to put money back into the economy, to grow jobs, which grows
to take care of your own retirement.
Take care of your own retirement. Take care of your kids' college savings. There's a lot of things that incentivize them to say, look, we want people to do certain things, and let's incentivize them by not taxing as much. They can't force you to do things, but they can make it attractive enough for you. So the Deferred Sales Trust is just another one of these tax deferral strategies that has been legal for many, many years, has been proven. But the application of it is really where the magic comes in that it works for any highly appreciated asset: real estate, primary homes, businesses, commercial real estate, cryptocurrency, which is really the topic of today's conversation. For 25 years, it's really only ever been known for mostly real estate and business sales: veterinarians, dentists, optometrists, car dealerships, multifamily properties.
Can it work for stocks and bonds?
It can work for public stock. It can work for private stock. In fact, I imagine
a lot of people are thinking about getting out right now, but they don't want to take the hit because that's always the most painful part of getting out. But a lot of people think it's a good time to get out. It's like right now, let's get while the getting's good. We've made good money for a long time. Things are smelling a little shaky in a lot of people's opinion. So maybe this is a good time to have a good reason. Now you can get out and maybe defer the tax.
Yeah, we couldn't agree with you more, right? And we like to say it's somewhere between 30 and 50% of the gain with the depreciation recapture, depending on the asset you hold and the state that you live in. And part of the Biden's proposed tax plan, he's taking potentially 20% federal to as high as 25 or 26 or 28% federal. Okay, so then it's going to be like 30, 35 or 38 to 58%. Again, depending on the state you live in, the depreciation recapture. So we like to say it's no longer about cash flow, although it's always cash flow. Okay, I know there's a cash flow in 1,000 houses, but it's really more and more about tax flow, right? And how and when are you going to receive those funds, and how much tax are you going to be paying? Why? Well, the government, guess what, has been spending a lot of money the last 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. They keep spending, right? Especially the last 10 years, no matter what side of the aisle you vote for, they're spending. And that means a couple things. They're going to raise taxes. They're also printing a lot of money, which means the next thing, potentially inflation, right? We're seeing inflation. I mean, potentially it's happening, right? And so we think it now more than ever is a great time to sell high and diversify, right? Get some liquidity, get some tax deferral, get out of debt. We just did a deal for a client in Alabama. He sold a $2.6 million business, deferred all of the tax. He got a really high multiple for the sale, and he's building tax deferred with the trust 70 multifamily units. That's pretty cool, right? So it's kind of like he 1031 out of a business into building. And these are places
but they don't offer 1031s for business. They don't offer 1031 for, a lot of things. They don't offer 1031 for $1 million commission you're getting because you sold 10 billion rubber gloves in the middle of the COVID thing. They don't offer any exchanges for that. So here's how you might do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it all depends on the fact pattern and the way you structure the deal. And especially when it comes to commissions and stuff, that one's a little more It's
But
not
you got to
as
get way out ahead of this, like way out ahead of it. It's not
yeah,
something
it's not as clear cut on that. So really what we're staying in is highly appreciated assets. So you bought Bitcoin for, and I'll give you actually some three live deals that we just closed, okay? And this is the exciting part about this episode and why you want to continue to listen here, because for 25 years it's been the businesses and the real estate sales, including luxury primary homes, which doesn't qualify for 1031, including businesses which doesn't qualify for 1031. And by the way, this is not to be confused with the Delaware Statutory Trust. That's just another form of a 1031. We call it the Hollywood video to the Blockbuster, which is 1031. What we want to show you is Netflix. And what's cool about Netflix Deferred Sales Trust is it works for all of those assets plus public stock, private stock, plus cryptocurrency. So I want to reverse about 4 months ago, we got a call from one of our strategic alliances. She's a financial advisor in the Bay Area, and she has a couple that she's working with. And this couple, married couple, 2 kids, dog. He works in Silicon Valley for the last 20 years. She's an attorney. They're working really hard, long hours, for many, many, many years. And he was smart enough to buy Ethereum and Bitcoin at a very, very early adoption of these assets. Now, he understands these assets, right? Just like we understand real estate, Mitch, right? He really gets it. And he had the conviction to hold. And in fact, he never sold. And in 2017, it raced up to about $6 million. And he had put about, I think, around $50,000 to $75,000. It raced up to $6 million. And his wife says, sell. Like, she didn't get it as much, right? I mean, cryptocurrency, especially at that time, it's still really new. He's like, no, there's a future for it. She's like, but we can retire. We can be done. We can go invest in real estate and different investments, securities, and be a little more diversified. As far as she know, the money's out in outer space or in the internet somewhere, right? She didn't know. She just knew it was $6 million. But he didn't sell. And part of why he didn't sell was because he didn't have a tax deferral strategy. He was in California, and he's looking at like 30% of just being wiped out of all that gain. So as he was looking for the tax deferral strategy, the market crashed, and his 6 went to, I don't know, maybe a 1 or 2, right? And so he was like, I'm going to hold. Well, rewind about 6 months ago, it raced all the way back up to new record highs, but even beyond that, it went up to $13 million. So I'm sitting down with them, and they live in the Oakland Hills, beautiful home overlooking the whole San Francisco Bay. And I sit down with them and I said,
with the wife, you dummy. And then all of a sudden it's just going back and forth, like.
Exactly right. I said, how did you feel? She's like, I felt terrible. That meant I could retire. The outcome was I could retire. We could travel.
It starts before that, Brett. You spent $50,000 on what? And then it's worth $6 million, and then you don't sell. And I can just see this roller coaster of a conversation with your wife. But go ahead.
It's exactly what it was. In fact, he didn't tell her until they sat down. It was like an anniversary date. Like, in fact, for the first few years, he didn't even tell her he was investing in it, because it wasn't a lot of money for them. It was like 2,000 here, 2,000 here. I mean, it was some. They're making good income, but it was just dollar cost averaging. He was doing it, and then boom, 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 boom. And he goes, honey, I got something to tell you. And she's like, what? I've been buying this thing called Ethereum. And she's like, what's that? Well, it's kind of like Bitcoin. And what? And in 6 months, anyway, so it crashes. So fast forward, she's like, sell. And so, but still he's vetting us. He's vetting the structure, the strategy, the legality of this, make sure the funds are protected. They can't be hacked, the banks, all of the above, plus the investment plan for the outcome. Because guess what? It's just as important that it's legal as the next part of where and how the funds are invested. And so we went through all of this process, and I said, what would you like to do? He goes, well, first I'd like to retire from the corporate tech job. Like, I never want to work for someone ever again. I'm like, well, you can do that. And he's like, well, what's the income on this thing? Like, what can we expect? And I go, well, a lot of clients are about 8% net of fees, and they're living off 5 to 6% of it. So I said, so at $13 million, if you sell everything tomorrow, let's just say you take a 6%, pretty conservative. That's $780,000. Like, Brett, that's a lot more than what we're making per year. And you're telling me we never have to work again? I'm like, you never have to work again as long as the investments.
$780,000 per year.
$780,000 per year should be about 6% on the 13 million. Divided by 12 is about $65,000 a month, right? Did I do that right? Let me make sure I did that right. That sounds like a lot. 13 million, 6% is $780 a year. Yeah. I guess that is $65,000 a month, right? And so they're like, that's much more than we're making. We can travel, we can do the things. Like the outcome was important for them, right? It wasn't just we're making a bunch of money. I mean, it was more money than they ever had, but it was this process of this. But he's very intellectual. B, he's very analytical, and C, he takes his time to make a decision. So he waited, and guess what happened? It went from 13 million to like 7, and within about a 3-week period, and all of our hearts sank. And like he and his wife was upset again. It was like the second thing. Okay. So, but he goes, look, here's what we got now. Now, at least we got the investment done. We got the legality done, what the investments are going to be. They want to buy a place in Tahoe eventually. They want to buy a big cabin. It's like everyone from Northern California wants to, like, their dream, if you make it big, it's like some people buy their Mercedes or they buy like, the BMW. For people in Northern California, they just want to get like a cabin on Lake Tahoe, right? So it's just known. It is known if you live in Northern California. So he goes, I want to go buy that, and like she wanted to buy that, and the family and all of it, like beautiful. And then it drops, and so the dream's out, and now he's thinking about going back to work and all this stuff. Anyways, fortunately, guess what Bitcoin and Ethereum did? It made another run. Okay, so within about 45 days of that date, it makes another run, and they sold the first 5 million. That was we broke the 4-minute mile. You ever see that? That guy Roger Bannister, right? Yeah. No one thought they could run the 4-minute mile. Well, nobody thought. Maybe I put these things on myself, but nobody thought we could do this with crypto, right? No one thought we could do it with Bitcoin, and we did it. We broke the 4-minute mile of the about 13 million value, because it went all the way back up. He sold about 5 million of that, and since then it's hit even more all-time highs. And so as he liked it so much that as of last week, they just did another 2.5 million. So the unique part about the trust is you can dollar cost average out. He doesn't have to sell all 13 million at once. He sold 5 million. Boom, his 13 dropped to about, it'd be 8. Then his 8 went to probably about 10 or 11. Then he did another 2.5 million. And he's slowly, timing the exit of the coin. And a part of that was Bitcoin, and part of that was Ethereum. And now he's diversified. Now he's completely retired from the day job, right? And he never has to work again. And I'll pause there, Mitch, to see if you caught all that.